right, ladies and gentlemen, friendly reminder, you have a test on
Monday.
Look at you, look at you. So we're going to haul through some content today. We're going to do nice, clean, and clear. Now, your assignments are not due until Wednesday. I would suggest getting them done over the weekend, but I am trying to be kind. It's not a good look on me, but I'm trying. Okay, so your assignments aren't really due until Wednesday. I would suggest doing them ahead of your test, of course, but we're doing the map on Tuesday together, so really your focus should be. Now, of course, if I'm changing things, there's going to be a lot more grace. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be more than enthusiastic to curve the test if I have to. Is everyone clear on that? Does that make us a little happier?
Yes.
Elise, you look genuinely happy. Oh, girl, all I had to do was say curve. Damn. All right. So, if I need to curve, I will curve because we're working together. This is off schedule. This is not normal, yes? So, when we work together and things change, it always works to your benefit, yes? Okay, because I'm not trying to sabotage anyone. I'm not trying to hurt anyone, but, like, there's an immovable object on Wednesday. So, we have to adjust to do it. Friendly reminder, makeup work is due today by 12. Now, I did say by the end of 6th period because I couldn't come. I had a meeting this morning. So, technically, 1:42. So, if you have any makeup work, you have till 1:42 in order to get it completed. Because when you leave school today, I'm going to finish putting in the last bit of my makeup work. And what you have in the grade book will be your final grade. Now, next week, I have a couple little things I can tweak and stuff like that. Someone asked me yesterday, do I round? I don't really round, but if you're like an 89.8, I'm going to round you. Does that make sense? If you're like on the cusp, I'm going to bump you. Yes? But if you're like an 88, I'm not rounding you. Yes? I'm not rounding you from an 88 to an 89 and then rounding you from an 89 to a 90. Yes? That's a lot of bumping over an edge. Yes? So once all those kind of things wash out. So I haven't started curving. I haven't looked at any bumping, anything like that until my grade book totally closes. And my grade book doesn't close until this afternoon. I have all of next week to deal with my grade book. So I'm going to deal with all that stuff next week. Really, today I'm just focusing on getting makeup work so you have a realistic idea of where you stand. John?
When we go into the second 9 weeks, we keep our grades, right? Like, they don't go, like they don't completely reset, right?
They do.
They do. Yeah, you go back to 100 or a 0, whatever way you think fit.
Yeah.
Are you a 100 person or a 0 person?
I'm a 0.
It's a 0.
Yeah, it's a 0.
You got to earn your way up. All right, anyway. Questions, concern, comments? Everyone understands 142 today? Everyone good? All right, on your whiteboard, here we go. On your whiteboard, please tell me, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my God, do you remember those days and how great they were? Those were great days. On your whiteboard, please tell me what is the name of my first 3 maritime empires in order?
This is a good marker. I have a really bad one. Like, this is a bomb marker.
It's the little things. Matt, what do we got?
Portuguese, Spanish, English.
There you go. On your whiteboard, what event is going to end the Spanish power? What event ends and what year is it?
1630.
No. Good. I got 1, 2, 3. Good. Dawson.
The Spanish Armada in
1588. On your whiteboard, please. Guys, we gotta go. On your whiteboard, please tell me the Spanish, the Portuguese are gonna break the back of the Africans by taking over what region of Africa? This will make Africans completely dependent on Europeans. That doesn't even make sense. I got 1. Good. What is it, Natalie?
This would be city.
There you go. On your whiteboard, please tell me. True or false? The Ming Dynasty ended up rejecting or trying to reject the white people. True or false? Good. What do we got? Nicole? True. What would be an example of how the Ming started rejecting the Europeans with a hand? What do you got, Ava?
They restricted trade.
They restricted trade, fine, but who can give me a more specific piece of evidence? Sydney.
Did they rebuild the Great Wall?
Okay, they're starting to rebuild the Great Wall, even though the Europeans aren't coming by land. What do you got, Alexi?
They banned larger ships.
There you go. They ban larger ships because who's showing up in the big ships?
The Europeans.
White people, the Europeans, because they have longer voyages, and if you're going to make the voyage, you might as well carry as much crap as you can back. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of the first city the British take over in India? What is the name of the first city they take over? Good. What is it? What do we got, Ellis? Calcut. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of the treaty that divides the world into Old World, New World between Spain and Portugal?
I don't think I spelled that right.
Abby, internal thoughts. Max.
Treaty of Tordesillas.
There you go. On your whiteboard, please tell me. Oh my God, there's like a huge bug on my laptop. You see it?
No, I don't know where it went. Sorry.
Well, I guess I'll find it later, I guess. On your whiteboard, please tell me what country is going to have friendly relationships with the natives because they depend on them. So much so that the natives will choose them later. Steven. France. Who can raise their hand and explain to me why the French and the natives get along really, really well? Katie.
They were just there for the furs. They traded furs with them. They didn't like try to conquer, I guess.
Okay, they're not really conquering, Amelia.
They would like marry the Native American women who didn't have any women, so they kind of like, became more connected.
Okay, so connected. They're gonna commingle here. Okay, so we're going to have the French are not going to bring their wives, which is going to force them to interact with the natives, as well as the fact that they are dependent on them to helping with fur trapping. Yeah, so there's a dual relationship. So if you were going to be conquered by a European country, which one would you prefer? Okay, on the other side, what European country is the worst to be conquered? Interesting. Okay, here we go. Let's pick up there. Is that where we left off essentially with our notes? What do you got?
We left natives choose the French and the British.
Okay, so we are talking about the French and the British. Okay, the French, as we just discussed, as Stephen was just telling us, is talking about how the French depend on them for fur trapping, help, and assistance. They're also not bringing their wives, so they're commingling. The British bring their wives. Okay, the British are bringing their wives because they are doing a lifestyle change. They are not here for profits. They are here for a lifestyle change, like your Puritans who are trying to get closer to God and all that crap. Okay, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to see that the British are going to use contracts with the natives. Okay, same thing that they're doing in the Dutch East India Trade Companies. They're creating contracts. They're doing it with the natives here in the Americas as well. They're forcing them to sign contracts, and these contracts, they're giving up their land to the British. Okay, they're having them sign contracts because the natives don't understand what the contract says, and the British can have whatever they want. Okay, they are all about isolation away from the natives. They want nothing to do with the natives. No, they don't. They're going to have Africans, and they're going to have indentured servants. So you need to know that. They're going to start with indentured servitude, and then that's not going to work. And then they start buying slaves. So the British do not need the natives. They don't want them. Okay? So the most conflict base between the natives is actually with the British. The British are fighting with the natives a lot more, because they have no purpose for them, so they think a dead native is the best native. Like, seriously. Now, the Spanish are absolutely atrocious. Can we agree? The hacienda system, the encomienda system. However, there is a little bit more tolerance and understanding because the Spanish are coming with no. So they depend on the local women to a degree. Okay, so we see a little bit of connection. However, the fact that they're doing all these atrocities in the labor system is also horrifying. The British really do think a dead Indian is the best Indian. Okay, so the British are going to have way less tolerance for the natives. If you step on this contracted land, they say they can kill any native. Well, do the natives understand this language? No, they don't have any identity or understanding of not like owning something, so obviously it leads to a ton of it. All right, so you do need to know the British are going to conquer, take over parts of Canada and what we would consider part of the United States today. So the French and the British are in direct competition in both Canada and what will eventually become the United States. Okay? So we're going to start seeing these kind of rivalries kind of start. Now, it's obviously going to accumulate in what conflict? French and Indian War. When we say French and Indian War, it's the French and the Indians versus the British. Make sure you understand that, because some people think the French are fighting the Indians. No, it is the French and the Indians are fighting the British, which is how we get this whole American Revolution thing started. Yes, because we get paid we have to pay higher taxes, all those types of things. All right, here we go. Okay, so let's start talking about. Let's go back to the Indian Ocean Basin, please. So skip a space and center it. Okay, you need to know that taxes is going to be one of the largest fundraising a country can do. Okay, what do I mean by fundraising? Now, we use that in a weird way today, and that's not how it's been known historically. John? Yeah. Yeah, the best way to make money for a country is by charging taxes. And how are Europeans going to be charging taxes? Think about it logically. We've kind of already talked about it. How are Europeans going to charge taxes in the Indian Ocean Basin? Make the connections here. It's very similar. Natalie?
With tariffs on ports.
Yeah, tariffs on ports. So the more places you control, the more taxes you can charge. Okay? So, yes, the products themselves are making these countries money, but they're making more money off of charging other European ships to come into their ports. So the better your port is you're going to make more money off the port than you are the items in the port. So this is going to spawn Europeans collecting territory in the Indian Ocean Basin. So now it's no longer a competition for items, it's now competition for territory. And that's not a good thing, is it? Because now, when it was just items, they depended on the locals. Now that it's shifting to just geographic space, do they need the locals? So the value of the locals is going to plummet significantly, which means it's okay if you kill them. Okay, so when the European countries start figuring out that they're making more money off taxing ships to come into their ports than a lot of the resources in the ports, that is when they're like, oh shit, if I start collecting all these places, I'm going to be even wealthier, and that's what we're going to start seeing. Okay, so of course the Portuguese are the first ones to figure this out, yes? So they are going to have a lot of African ports, of course. They are going to set up armed trading ports. Once they figure out this stuff is more valuable than the items inside, they start leaving behind military members. This is a huge shift in thinking. Okay, beforehand they just would leave merchants. Now they're leaving militaries. Okay, so we're starting to see a lot more aggression occurring with the white people. Okay, so we're starting to see that the locals are starting to become a lot more aggressive about having these outside militaries coming in. So at this point, we really start seeing people starting to reject the Europeans. That is a huge deal. Beforehand, when they were just coming into the ports, taking over, everyone was like, this is annoying, but fine. Now that they're hosting their militaries here and being hostile, and now they see the value in the land, not in the people, that change is going to cause a reaction as well in the natives, of course. So all we're going to do is we're going to start seeing some major changes. Okay. Okay, now it is important that you do understand that the Indian Ocean Basin is still having slave trade. It is important that you understand that. The Indian Ocean Basin is still having slave trade. Would you rather be a slave in the Indian Ocean Basin or Atlantic Basin? Indian Ocean by far, ladies and gentlemen. You're still going to have a quality of life, and you still get to have your culture. So you can pray to the God you want to. You can still have your language. You can still have your religion. You can have your culture. You just have to work for someone without getting paid. That sucks. I'm not trying to justify it. In the Americas, do you get your culture?
No.
Do you get your religion?
No.
No, and the working conditions are horrific. Okay, so there is two different basins of slavery happening, so please keep that in mind. In the Indian Ocean Basin, it's not really white people. White people are not facilitating it in the Indian Ocean Basin. White people are full on in the Atlantic Ocean. So keep in mind, the Muslims are still buying slaves in the Indian Ocean Basin. You're still going to have a lot of Indian slavery starting to move around, Arab slavery. All of that stuff is still happening. White people are not really facilitating that like at all in the Indian Ocean Basin. In the Atlantic Basin, all white people all the time doing the worst of the slavery. What do you got?
When you refer to Muslims, are you talking about like the Ottoman Empire?
Yeah, the Ottoman
Okay, so
Empire is
they're still-
absolutely. Yep, they're still in power because remember they come into power in 1453 and we're in the 1700s. So they're still in power because they're in power until 1918.
Are the Safavids and the Mughal there too?
The Mughal is absolutely going because remember the British signed contracts with the Mughal, so the Mughal are there. The Safavids die out really quick. So right as white people started showing up, they die off. Okay, but the Mughal is in full force. The Ottomans are in full force. Okay, all of those things are happening. So those are the people who are really Ottomans are the biggest slave purchasers at this point in the Middle East. What do you got?
Isn't the Mughal like starting to decline now?
Well, as soon as they start signing British contracts, that's the beginning of the end of the Mughal. They're going to be a puppet until the 1790s, and then the British are just like, I'm tired of this, and they just knock them out. Yes?
What replaced the Safavid?
Nothing. The Ottomans just take over. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a huge deal. Silver and gold. Silver and gold. Do you want me to sing it? Silver and gold. Silver. It's funny, I mentioned Christmas this morning and then Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Have we not seen the classic? The little claymation one? Come on now, it's the best. It is so creepy and like Santa's such a jerk in it, but we're getting off track here. Hello, silver and gold. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to know that gold has always been incredibly valuable throughout all of world history. Gold, not silver. Gold has been incredibly valuable throughout all of world history. Okay? However, silver is an American thing. Isn't that exciting?
I thought it was an Asian thing.
The Asians become obsessed with it. Yeah, all the silver goes to Asia because they're paying crazy high rates for it. Okay? Now, there is a little bit of silver in like Europe and like Africa, like very small trace amounts of it. It's very, very rare, so it's not really a common thing. It's like super, super rare. In the Americas, it's very common. We have tons and tons of silver. So with the discovery of the Americas, all of a sudden there's a huge influx of silver in the world. Okay? So it's kind of like sugar. Before the Americas, we have very small amounts of sugar. It exists. It's super expensive. Very few people in the world are going to have it. Once the Americas, we're going to have huge plantations. Then pretty much everyone gets a taste for sugar. We see how this works, yes? Okay. So it is really important that you understand that the whole world craves silver as soon as it is brought across the Columbian Exchange. The whole world wants it. And you're going to put it in capital letters. China wants it more. They are obsessed with it. It will completely collapse their economy. Woski broski. Because ladies and gentlemen, let's just do a basic fact. Which one's more valuable? Silver or gold?
Gold.
The Chinese love silver so much they're willing to sell twice as much gold to get one thing of silver.
Why do they like it so much?
Because it I don't know, What's their aesthetic? I don't know. Are you a gold person or a silver person?
I like both.
I'm a silver person. I like silver or white gold. I'm fine with white gold, but I'm a silver person. It's just their preference.
There's white gold.
There is white gold.
How is it?
I don't know, people. This
These
is
are
not my.
gold, but they're gold. Like,
Is there black?
Thank you, Abby. That was very helpful. What do you got, Max?
Why does silver or gold like have any value?
Because someone said this is special and there's not much of it, and that's valuable.
It's like you can't do anything with it.
Yes, you can. You can make coins. You can make jewelry and stuff like that. But yeah, it has no value besides the fact it's rare. Just like diamonds. Okay, diamonds are rocks.
So value.
They're hard to break. So, but they couldn't sharpen them to make it to have any purpose like we do. Like we have like diamond drills and stuff like that. But diamonds are only valuable because there's so few of them, and they literally drive up the price of them. That's it. And I know this, but I want more of them. Does that make sense? So it's just by human choice. Like, what do you like to spend your money on?
I don't.
Well, for your holidays, what do you ask for? Video game stuff? Like, I don't even know. What do you buy? What do you want?
Clothes?
Like any type of clothes?
Just like clothes.
Max, you are making this so hard on me. You are not giving me anything. But it just depends on what society is deemed valuable or not. And gold and silver are really easy to melt. So you can make them meltable into tons of different things. So they're easy to work with. Okay. Sounded like we had another question. Yes, Ben.
So everything's based on like rarity, like value
Yeah.
based on rarity.
Yeah, of course. Things are only cool when very few people have them, right? And then as soon as your mom, like crop tops, you damn people in your crop tops, okay? Now, keep in mind, fine, you think crop tops are cool, fine. When your mom starts wearing them, guess what? Not so cool, right? And so now TikTok used to be super cool, right? And now everyone's on TikTok, so now is TikTok as cool?
Yes.
No, I don't know. I'm not on TikTok. I feel like the moment I join TikTok, it's gonna die, and I'm fine with that.
I follow.
Moving on, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so keep in mind when the Spanish showed up in Mexico, when Columbus showed up in the New World, he was very disappointed, correct? However, after about 10, 20 years, they started figuring out, oh, okay, we can mine this stuff, and now they're going to start booming. The largest thing the Spanish are doing is mining, ladies and gentlemen. That is their largest export, is mining. That's why the Portuguese are such savages in their rage, is that they would rather see the ships at the bottom of the ocean filled with gold and silver than with the Spanish. That's why the blood hate for the both of them is so high, which is so cool. What do you got, Ben?
Did they like find a lot of gold and silver like when they conquered India?
Yeah, because they were wearing it. They were wearing it as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, you need to know that most of your slave labor, or your hacienda system, is all going to be about mining. They, of course, are doing some farming, okay, because people have to eat, but the major money maker is going to be mining gold and silver. Silver is going to be the most prevalent. There's more silver in the Americas than there is for gold, and the price of silver is going to be incredibly high because it's such a novelty. It's brand new. No one's really seen it on this scale. Ben?
I'm sorry. But when they find more gold and silver, does the value go down?
Not at this point. At this point, there's just such a high demand. The whole world hasn't really seen it, so it's constantly going. There's just not that much of it that the value of gold. You've seen the stupid commercials of like gold value is gonna keep. You know, when the world ends, everyone's going back to gold. All that crap. Then you don't watch Fox News, because if you watch Fox News, it's on every other ad. Is like gold and silver is like the only way to guarantee your wealth. Like, what the hell are you supposed to do with that? Anyway, moving forward, ladies and gentlemen, you need to know that gold and silver are, of course, the most popular things. The Spanish are mining it in crazy rates, killing the indigenous, of course, but it is going to lay the foundation for mercantilism. Mercantilism is the belief that the more gold and silver your country has, the more wealth you have. So now, It's not necessarily about the products you're selling. It's literally how much gold and silver your country has. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? It's a little bit of both, because our money, guys, when you take a $20 bill or $100, let's make it 100 because it'll be easier. If you take a $100 bill and you go to the bank, your $100 bill is supposed to represent $100 worth of gold. We used to have the gold standard here in the United States that all of our money was backed by gold. So for every $100 we had in circulation, there's $100 worth of gold sitting there. That's what's in Fort Knox, yes? Our gold reserves, yes? Okay? Then we had to have a silver standard because we had so much money in circulation, and now we're not on a standard because our money system has become a lot more digital. We have all these other things. Don't worry, the economy's okay if we pass the bill next week and our economy doesn't completely shut down because we're about to declare, oh, you don't know this? We can't talk about that because we don't have time. Anyway.
We're in debt.
Yeah, we're hit the debt ceiling next week.
You're talking about that Nikki Jones.
Yeah, well, you should be, because it's a huge deal, and that's literally your economic future, ladies and gentlemen. So, enjoy. Hey, my generation lived through 2 major collapses of economies. We were told in 2005 when I graduated that was the worst economy that the world has seen in 60 years. Oh, and then it got worse in 2018. So, 2008 again. It's going to fall, and then it fell again. So my generation has lived through 2 economic collapses. Join the club, okay? Here we are. Okay, you need to understand that inflation is going to occur because of the mercantilist system. Okay? And the Spanish have too much of it, which will destroy their economy. So, the Spanish are going to have too much gold and cause crazy inflation because they got greedy, and it is going to devastate their economy. Well, I'm glad me and my buddy are on the same team. All right. Slave trade. Okay. So let's talk a little bit. We've kind of covered some of this stuff. So, commercial revolution is something I need you to know. So this is like economic components. If you want to have a header, you can also leave it under gold and silver. It's perfectly fine. You need to know that the commercial revolution is happening. It means more people, common citizens, are opening businesses in Western Europe. Okay? Normal, average citizens are opening up businesses and are making money for themselves. So the economy is stimulated at a whole new level. So it's not just a few businesses. Now regular people are opening up businesses, which means there are more products, which means there's more money exchanges. Remember, technically, if Emily buys something from me, I owe the U.S. government taxes. Yeah. Every time you sell something, you're supposed to pay taxes on it. Technically, if you don't do that, you are breaking the law, and the IRS can come after you. Okay, so with that being said, every time we have a business open up, countries are now making revenue from taxes, which is going to increase the wealth of these nations. We are starting to see that as wealth goes up, so does inflation. High rates of inflation from gold and silver is going to be the consequences. So all of these economies are trying to collect all this gold and silver, and then it's going to cause huge inflation rates, which will cause their economies to collapse. Inflation is when your money is worth less than it's printed on it. So if we had high inflation, a $100 bill is really only worth maybe during the 70s when we had our last big inflation, $100 was really only worth like $90. Okay, that's a big deal. That's a huge problem. Here in the United States in 2021, we have an inflation problem. We sent out a ton of stimulus checks with the pandemic, yes? So we have all this money floating around, but there's a gap in how much things are worth, which is why everything's a little bit more expensive. Have you noticed?
Yes.
Okay, it's not just gas, but it's also your food. Probably your beloved Chick-fil-A, which I don't understand why people like it. I just don't get it. It's
They're
disgusting.
ice. It's so good.
It's disgusting. I even had a Chick-fil-A sandwich this morning, and it was disgusting. I ate half. It's so disgusting.
Exactly.
The chicken biscuit. I don't get it.
Get the chicken
the normal
biscuit.
Yeah, get the chicken minis.
They're disgusting collectively.
Terrifying.
Have you noticed the prices at Chick-fil-A have gone up?
Yeah.
They've already said across the board that pretty much all, put it in the box, dude. That every place is going to have to increase their cost because prices are going up. Inflation is when you're paying more for the same thing. That's inflation. We're currently living in a time that has a lot of inflation, and it's only going to get worse. Okay, we've already talked about joint stock companies. We just haven't called them joint stock companies. Joint stock companies are when merchants and investors put money together and make money from a business. Joint stock is when merchants and regular people like you and I, you obviously guys know about stock markets, where you can buy a stock in a company, like you can buy Apple stock, and technically you're a part owner of Apple because it's a publicly traded company and those types of things. Joint stock companies are your beginning of this. This is when regular people can invest in a company and they get the proceeds out. Okay? So it's not just only the business owner is now running a company. We now have average citizens investing in companies. Okay? And that's a joint stock. You know two of them. What are two joint stock companies?
British company.
EOC and VOC are joint stock companies. Normal citizens like you and I can invest in the EOC or the VOC, and then every year we get a check from the EOC and VOC for our part. Okay, if they had a good year, we get a check for like $1,000. Okay, it's the same thing kind of happens with your stocks. Okay, you buy stocks, and if the stocks go up, you can cash out. If the stocks go down, then you are screwed. It's kind of like your Bitcoin. I guess, are you guys more familiar with Bitcoin?
Stocks are so much easier.
Okay, well, I'm just trying to keep up with you young, hip, vibrant
I
TikTokers.
will never understand.
Huh?
Dogecoin.
Oh my god.
You're the only one that is.
What do you got?
When you sell stock, does the stock price go down?
If you're selling like thousands and thousands, if Tim Cook of Apple sells his shares, then Apple is going to plummet. However, Samantha Bennett decides to sell her Apple shares. No one's gonna blink.
Do you have some?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I don't like stock market. My husband and I invest in Bitcoin.
How much Bitcoin?
That's my dad.
We don't have that much. However, a good friend of ours invested about $10,000 about 3.5 years ago, and now has $800,000. Yeah. He's a complete clown though, and that's the infuriating part.
Why is he a clown?
Because he's a moron. He's a moron.
So he got lucky.
He's a very wealthy moron. And if you knew him, it would be like, how did this happen? But he just picked the funny, stupid Bitcoins that are on sale for like 50 cents. And now they're all worth like, I don't think it's Dogecoin, but he's done other ones. Anyway, so joint stock companies, those are the two big ones you need to know. It's very low risk investments, so they become very popular, okay? Low risk investments are things that are pretty sure that if you invest in, you're not gonna lose money. There are a lot of those still today, like Apple. If you buy Apple stock, it's probably not gonna disappear in a couple months. Now, does that mean you're gonna make a ton of money?
No.
No, but you're gonna be making consistent returns on it, so you're gonna be fine. That's a low risk stock. Investing a lot of money into a new Bitcoin, like a brand new one, that's risky because some Bitcoins go off, some Bitcoins completely burn. So that's a risky thing to do. Gambling on like gas and oil and all that other stuff in the stock market is pretty low risk because we need gas, we need oil, and obviously Apple's not going anywhere.
And how does Bitcoin like work again?
Hi, not on your test.
They should be.
It might be at the end because I don't know.
bonus question about it.
Do we want to finish content? Is that something we're interested in? Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, you need to know that the Dutch are going to be making the most money Okay, they're not going to be the world leader. Remember, they are going to give the British a real challenge for the throne, but the British are just going to have a more superior navy. They're going to have a more superior military, and they are making crazy good money. But the Dutch are actually going to be making more money because they're more financing. They're more finessed in their financing. They are very, very creative in how to make money and how to get people to invest money and how to get good returns on that money. And that's the thing. So the Dutch are going to be the ones rolling in dough, which is why the Netherlands is going to be one of the still today, Amsterdam is one of the most expensive cities to live in. Because the quality of living in the Netherlands is super high. Why? Because they were one of the first countries to really boom with a massive economy in a more modern sense. So when the rest of the world is trying to catch up during the Industrial Revolution in wealth, the Dutch are already wealthy, and then the Industrial Revolution is going to happen, and they're just going to make more money. So living in the Netherlands today is actually one of the most expensive cities, specifically Amsterdam, in the world, because of the high quality of living, because of how much money they have. What do you got?
Do their contracts with like countries to make them their like only trader? Like, is that what's making them money?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, the exclusivity and the fact that they are creating companies using joint stock where they're getting tons of financing from both the public and the private sectors. The government has been really supportive of it. So there's just a ton of factors that allows the Dutch to really thrive. While the British are pretty good, the Dutch are amazing at coming up with ways to raise money. Okay, Indigenous populations. Okay, so that's your next heading. Your indigenous populations. You do need to know that they are getting suppressed. I think we all saw that coming, yes? Okay, so as with everything, when populations get suppressed, eventually they kick back and they try rising again. Now, it is important for you to know that there is a lot of religious syncretism. We're starting to see a lot of blending of Christian ideas with African, specifically, or indigenous beliefs in New Spain. So we're seeing a lot of syncretism happening as well. Okay? Now, they are going to start rebelling. It is really important that you know that they are going to start rebelling. The natives are going to fight against the British in North America. They really hate the British because the British are really just like, let's kill them and just be done with it. So that's pretty harsh. Now, of course, being slave labor is not ideal to the Spanish, but the British are even worse, okay? You do need to know the Spanish are going to have a ton of rebellions as well. The most famous is going to be the Pueblo, okay? And they are going to, at first, beat the Spanish, and then the Spanish are obviously, well, we can't have that, and then they're going to overcompensate and destroy them. So, the Pueblo revolt is going to be one of the most important ones, okay? Okay? You need to know, because I'm not going to make you memorize all this stuff, and all this stuff, there's a couple other ones I need you to know. I want you to know, the Haitian Revolution you do need to know, though, because that's going to lead to what will eventually become the liberation of Haiti. Everywhere in the world is rebelling against white people. You need to understand that. Don't you dare think these white people come in and everyone's like, oh my God, thank God the white people are here. No one is saying that. No one wants them, okay? However, it is going to be there. I am going to post my PowerPoint for you. Would that help? So we're really okay.
Wait, so did the Haitians win?
They're going to win. They don't win this one, but they are going to win.
Why did the French stop attacking?
Huh?
Why did the French stop?
Well, we have the Napoleonic Wars.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're full on distracted with the Napoleonic Wars. Goodbye.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm not gonna get it.